There has been an increase in the number of flooding incidents recorded in different parts of the country for the last decade and a half. There is serious water shortage in the capital city, where we have over 8 major water dams and water catchment areas. We experienced the worst environmental disaster in August of 2017, when we lost about 6,000 people to mudslide and flooding in different parts of the city. The major challenge for the city is garbage control, which has infested our city and making it inhospitable. These and more are the indications that must trigger all Sierra Leoneans about the dangers that are looming if we don't take proper care of our environment. Against this backdrop, in June 2017, 10 young Sierra Leoneans came together, wrote a project titled Educate Youth for Action on Science, Weather Resilience and Sustainability, and presented it to the United States Embassy for sponsorship. Fortunately, our request for sponsorship was granted, and we vowed to volunteer our services to implement it on our return from the fellowship in the US. Our target focus is 50 pupils per school clubs, and these people should in turn reach out to 500 more people, including fellow pupils, teachers, families, and friends. Our total target is 5,000 people, and 5,000 people must be reached through our campaigns, community services, and other activities as designed in the project. Phase 1. Activity number 1. The first activity we undertook in this project was identifying the schools. The first phase of the project started in late October of 2017, where fellows were tasked with the responsibility of identifying 10 schools outside the capital city, taking into consideration schools that are operating in communities where the threats of an environmental disaster is even higher. As you can see from these images, these were some of the schools that were selected. The first school you will see is Ansarul Islamic Secondary School. Amongst other negative environmental practices, this school is clearly having garbage disposal issues. Bayo Secondary School, Old Railway Line, Tembe Town. Pabayo is also fondly called, is seriously struggling with poor drainage systems, proper garbage disposal systems, amongst other things. Another school is the Moritown Army Municipal School. You can clearly see from these images that this school will cave in anytime from now. It is not conducive for learning and has a lot of environmental threats. Salam Islamic Secondary School, Kosoton. This school is also residing in a community where the locals are heavily engaged in tree cutting activities and clearing of forests in the hills for dwelling and other purposes, and other garbage disposal issues, amongst other things. This is just a summary of some of the things we considered in selecting these 10 schools for our project. The second activity was training of the trainer. It is exigent that we had the best possible environmental professional this country can afford if we must succeed in implementing this project. So we contacted Tommy Garnett, who is the Executive Director of Environmental Foundation for Africa, to mentor us and provide the necessary professional skills we needed. He organized various mentoring sessions, built a curriculum that we used as a guide to draft activities for the schools, and many more. It was climaxed by a visit to the Biodiversity and Renewable Energy Learning Center at Bangura Farm, Sussex, located in the Freetown Peninsula. A representative of the US Embassy, Marilyn Kamara, who has been very supportive, graced one of the occasions. The third activity that we engaged in was engaging school authorities and forming of the Environmental Science Club. It was time to engage school authorities, where we convinced them about what we were doing and the support that was needed from them to make the project a successful one. Fellows spoke to science teachers to help form and maintain the science school clubs. We spoke to pupils during morning assembly sessions, encouraging them to join the club, presenting some of the benefits of volunteer work and the importance of what we want to achieve. End of phase 1. The beginning of phase 2. The first activity that we engaged in was training of club members and teachers. After setting up the school clubs consisting of 50 pupils and 2 teachers from each school, it was time to pass on to them the knowledge gained from Tommy Garnett. We asked the teachers to select 2 representatives from each school club to attend a 2-day training session which was organized at the African-American corner, Batter Street, Freetown. We designed practical curriculum that they could easily understand and work with. The 2-day session proved to be an epiphany to all of them that attended. We were able to get them to listen and learn, get them to work together, network, and draft a sustainable plan that they all pledged to work with when they returned to their various schools. The second activity was a visit to the Biodiversity, Renewable and Learning Center. We took the children to a field trip to the Biodiversity Learning Center to get a first-hand learning experience on what we have been teaching them. Firstly, we took a tour of the facility and addressed them on the Sustainable Development Goals. This is what is noticeable upon entering the center, and for many of them, it was the first time hearing about the existence of such goals. We showed them the solar panels, solar batteries, how the connections was designed, the benefits of using solar electricity, and the advantage of managing power supply, the trees, the conservation of the forest, and many more. Later on, we asked them to share feedback of their activities in the various schools since they left the training at Batter Street, and how has the past learning affected their perception so far. We further divided it into teams and requested that they illustrate through drawings their understandings of a bad environment and how would they like to see a good one. This exercise proved to be very fruitful as we used it to measure their understanding of what has been passed on to them, and the result was nothing short of a good one. As they all presented their illustrations, you could see the depth of their understanding from what was presented. The third activity was the distribution of cleaning equipment. In order to boost the activities of the science clubs in the various schools, we purchased a number of cleaning equipment and made simultaneous sizable donations to the schools. We donated, amongst other things, cleaning materials, usable gloves, dumping cans, small trash cans, and many more. We also distributed flyers and branded the trash can with their identical flyers for proper identification. These images show you some of the events during the donations made by the fellows at their different school grounds. The third activity was the community service. One of the most important lessons that was emphasized throughout our mentorship sessions is the act of volunteering. One of the major activities as designed in the project was community service. We encouraged all the volunteers in the school clubs to participate in sensitizing the community on the effects of some of our negative practices against the environment, cleaning the community, best practices to adopt that can save us from any devastating weather conditions, and more. And each school must target at least 500 people through their services. These images are shots from the different schools as they carried out their community services in the form of campaigns, sensitization, and cleaning of their various surroundings. Phase 3. The first activity of this project in Phase 3 is the post-project mentoring. This is the part where fellows are required to constantly engage in follow-on activities with the school clubs, ensure that there is an effective, sustainable plan to keep the club going, possibly scaling to other schools, open it up to more members in the school, design activities to keep the club alive, and even explore possible opportunities to include some of these activities in the curriculum of the school. These images are evidence of fellows engaging their school clubs, ensuring they adhere to the sustainable plans, and make sure that the pupils continue to pledge their allegiance in changing the mindset and behavioral patterns of their colleagues, teachers, and friends. We're extending our sincere gratitude to God for making this project a successful one. We're also extending our appreciation to the United States government for believing in our efforts to save our environment and for also supporting this project to its completion. We are also grateful to the United States Embassy in Sierra Leone for their continued professional support in ensuring the success of this project, especially Maria Brewer, Emily Green, Marilyn Kamara, Tommy Kine, amongst others. To the school authorities, we are grateful for all your support. We appreciate the indefatigable support of the teachers from the 10 schools and the students that avail themselves to be members of the school clubs. You are all champions and agents of change, and go make Sierra Leone a better place. Finally, I want to say thank you to all Mandela Washington Fellows 2017 for their tireless efforts and commitments to volunteerism and making Sierra Leone a better place to coexist.